Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to an exciting and everything amazing Propagandacast with me, your host Imperial Dane, the one, the only Master Propaganda of here to 1v1 on Pachino Stalemate in the northwest stands. Trainz fighting for the German army. Deutschland, the 26th Panzerdivision, tasked with throwing back the Allies into the Mediterranean. Here, with the 3rd Panzergrenadier Company of the 26th, in the southeast stands Kayaking, Koala, fighting for America, freedom, democracy. Here with the 41st Infantry Division, 5th Company, straight into Airborne Battle Group. Spicy, and with the double scout start here, opting for some early map control here versus opponent. Some players do like to go for that, others of course prefer more rifling in the early game. So, interesting opening here, thumbs up to that. As always, a big hearty thanks to my Patreon supporters, and a big thanks to Rithran for pledging on Patreon and support the Propagandacast. Big thumbs up to you, Rithran, and of course to everyone else who keeps the Propagandacast running with their generous Patreon pledges. So, we got, okay, a 30 cal airdrop here from Kayaking Koala in the early game. Now, this is quite interesting. We also got a bike up there in the northwest here for Trainz, but yeah, we don't typically see a lot of early 30 cals, so this is definitely a bit of a deviation there from the typical metagame here. Will be interesting how this goes out. Also, we got some more news out of Relic as to, like, you know, what's going to happen. Got an update for June, got an update for July. With new maps in July for 3.3, 4.4, there's going to be balance changes, a bunch of other changes there. Also, on top of that, they're finally opening up for adding community maps after that. More balance changes, more content, and a whole lot of other things. So it sounds like they, you know, finally realized they were perhaps not quite performing like they're supposed to, and are now starting to pick up the slack and pivoting towards multiplayer. So that should be very interesting going forwards. For now, next update will be on June 6th, that is next Wednesday. First shots fired here by close to the fuel point here. Panzergrenadier under Trainz command, engaging the RAF squad here. Charging in for freedom and democracy. Bit risky though, since Panzergrenadiers do have a slight DPS advantage up close, but Trainz here decides not to risk it versus the Riflemen. Can't blame him for that. Far up north there, CoH3 versus the Scouts. And we got a 2nd Panzer squad most likely there for Trainz moving in to deal with that. We can just do a quick check. Yes, indeed, Panzergrenadier here. Scouts are getting some damage on the CoH3 there. In the center, RAF squad moving around here, getting to the church. Further south here, Scouts linking up here with the 30 cal there. Panzer peeling up to the center. And we got a 2nd 30 cal airdrop here for Kayaking Koala. Panzer peeling up with their flying alphas. So double 30 cals, 2 scouts, and a RAF squad. That is a very unusual opening here from Kayaking Koala. Can be good, can be bad, but it certainly isn't dull. That's for sure. So there you go. Catching the Panzer Pioneer, getting the flamethrower ready. He's going to move straight into the church right as they get the flamethrower ready. I think that's going to prove to be a mistake here for Mr. Koala. There we go. Already there we can see there's been intense damage done to the machine gun crew in the church. Meanwhile, Trainz men secure most of the victory points, is thus getting a lead here over Kayaking Koala. Definitely a bit of a rough start here for the Americans. Definitely a rough start. Panzer Pioneer there sent screaming out there. 30 cal moving forwards there. I like the fact they actually took time to, like, set up models for 30 cal paratrooper crews. Nice little detail there. Up north, they got the pumping seats for the CoH3. 30 cal there reinforcing. Trio state or medical station on the way there, certainly necessary there, in particular since that 30 cal is also going to just die very quickly. Smart move there by Kayaking Koala. That is a lot of manpower you can save in the long run in particular. Southwest here, Panzer pushing back the scouts. So the question, of course, is what will Kayaking Koala go for next? I mean, he could go for paratroopers now, add in something a bit more elite here versus Trainz Panzergrenadier. Some early, you know, 30 cals there could make quite an impact there on the German infantry. Panzer's basically converging on the church here as the Americans are using it as a guarding point here. There's more men of the 82nd Airborne to support the 41st. So far, the Trainz is just off to a strong start. Again, these airdrop 30 cals didn't quite take Kayaking Koala where he wanted to be. At least not yet. 2nd RAF squad, I mean, they're on the way for Kayaking Koala. Let's switch over to Trainz. See what it's got up to. 3 Panzergrenadiers, 1 Panzer Pioneer squad, and the bike. We do have here the light support company up for Trainz. So that opens up some new interesting paths there. And we also got, besides an MD-34, we also get the fire support elements. So likely looking at flak feeling, which is definitely a reasonably popular, you know, DAK path to take. No, some players like the Mechanized Company, the Outrights, and the Marders, but that's definitely like, you know, a fairly large subset of DAK players who prefer going for flak feelings and then pushing for Panzer III. So that shows they are the two major directions you typically see DAK builds going in currently. South here, Panzer versus the advancing 30 cal Route School T. Kayaking Koala really wants the Germans out in the south. Popping into the building here can buy some time, though, of course, against this much firepower. It certainly begs the question, how much time can he buy? Panzer Pioneer heading southwards there. Up north, we got a second wave of attackers here from Kayaking Koala against a lines of Trainz. That is 2 scout squads backed up by 30 cal. Significantly less potent, but certainly can advance much faster. And again, Trainz exploiting Kayaking Koala's focus on the wings of the map to push for the fuel point again. Certainly highlighting a bit the danger there. Victory points wise, though, Trainz continue to enjoy a strong lead here versus Kayaking Koala. No battle group yet chosen here for Trainz. And I imagine we're looking at a flak feeling here very, very soon. Panzer being shot at. Fuel point there about to be seized again. And up north here, scouts have been great progress when backed up at 30 cal. But now the flak feeling is on the way. And that is certainly where Kayaking Koala is about to perhaps, if he's, you know, have a minor headache. Assault engineers, regular engineers for flamethrowers on the way there. He is airborne, so he doesn't get assault engineers. I suppose theoretically could do airborne engineers. I mean, the airborne troops do have their own engineers as well, I imagine, so it's an option. Well, anyways, 30 cal Ralph squad here pushing up for the south. North side, Carthusen keeps the scout slightly occupied. Fuel points is there. Really strong so far for Trainz. Really strong, and certainly only going to get stronger here with the flak feeling. Got the Panzer moving forwards. North here bike. He is continuing to keep the Americans occupied. Veterans you want. That is hell of a bike there. This is our job. We're keeping a lot of Americans occupied up here. Where's the reinforcements? Over. They're over, they're over. Oh, they're over. Oh, over. Ah, scheiße. Flak feeling moving in. Ralph squad here in a pretty intense duel with the Panzer Grenadiers, but the flak feeling arriving. This is very much a lost engagement. Otherwise, I'd say these Panzer Grenadiers in such weak condition. This was not a good engagement for Trainz to get stuck into. Like, he almost suffered a wipe anyways. Mines going off here. Good mine there from Trainz. Very good there. Bike pushes forwards again. Looks like it's just the scouts at 30 cal. We can see it's sort of like, you know, further up north here. And we got a Panzer group out here, clearly concerned about the possibility of a fast Greyhound or Chaffee here out of Kayaking Koala. He quickly calls in the Panzerjägers, and typically though, for most DAK players, like the first unit they will call in from here is typically the Panzerjäger mechanized group, as just, you know, that insurance against like a fast Greyhound or Chaffee. You want typically those anti-tank rifles. After that, they're being sent back to act as an ambulance because, well, Trainz got a lot of men who are very badly in need of healing. And meanwhile, as for Kayaking Koala, we got an airdrop, and it is an anti-tank gun he's airdropping in. Not even going for paratroopers, he airdrops right into an anti-tank gun there. Interesting choice here by Kayaking Koala. Obviously, there's the flak feeling. It does make a lot of sense, but it's nonetheless a bit interesting to see that, like, you know, being rushed out over paratroopers. You also got a mortar here for Kayaking Koala, so that brings in a bit of artillery support here for the 41st Infantry Division. Anti-tank crew moving forwards. 30 cal being through forwards here is going to pop into the church, though it is worth noting this church is in a really bad state, and I really would not recommend putting any units into it. So a unit's going to have a very bad time getting out of there. And there we go. Great shot from the anti-tank, and then the flak feeling half-track, doing quite a bit of damage there. I believe the half-track there is a Sonderkraftfahrzeug 8 or 8. One of many utility half-tracks that be pulled into the duty of, well, you know, basis for an anti-aircraft gun like that. Got the MD-34 holding up here, and 30 cal there is a really bad state here for Trainz. Large port, others pushing forwards here. Mines going off there. Pretty consistent mining from Trainz and up north. Bike looks like it's going to flank into 30 cal there. On the north end of the map, and we got MD-34s here for Trainz. Panzer Grenadiers significantly boosting their firepower against the army cannon. Excellent there, excellent. Mortar fire, of course, a bit of a threat here to Trainz men. Church still stands, but you know, It's about to collapse. Like, I think that flak filling just needs to, like, sneeze in this direction, and a bit more of a sneeze, but the 30 cal is wiped. Quite a blow there to Kayaking and Koala. I feel like a wipe loss that definitely could have been avoided too. Bit of mechanized infantry action here from Trainz to push towards the Panzer gun here. Nice hit. It was quickly pulsed back by the Flamethrower Engineers. Probably not interested in him as Panzer Grenadier become Crispy Grenadier. We'll have to see the what is next here for Kayaking and Koala. Good shot from the mortar in the half-track. And the anti-tank finished off their minor blow to Trainz and the German army, the 26th Panzer Division. Anti-tank can hold forwards, but with nothing to really protect against this many German infantrymen. I feel like he's going to have to withdraw already here or risk Trainz getting a wipe there. Mortar being forced back. Big push here from Trainz. Straight up to that fuel point once more. Anti-tank and crew definitely enjoying the time. 30 cal sitting up here, though, should be able to halt Trainz further advantage, but that with the rifleman. And far south, we've got the Cartridge now again versus double scouts. Bit interesting, he keeps bunching them up there. Perhaps he's just like overloaded mentally and he just can't like manage them individually at the moment. But he certainly is getting less effect out of them by having like bunched up like that. That said, Trainz is doing, I think, a fairly good job at using the bike just to counter the scouts and ensure that Kayaking Koala can't really push for map control as effectively as he'd like to. No tech yet. Has me thinking, though, he's actually pushing for a tank depot. Meanwhile, up in Trainz base, we do get the Panzerwehr Command, and Panther Fleet is on the way there. Very much, you know, part and parcel of these particular types of DAK builds there. Cartridge aiming to disrupt. We can see the scouts blake on more, but the bike, of course, still remains a significant threat. And Kayaking and Koala really needs to get rid of this bike here to really, like, I think, flex the scouts as much as like to. May, of course, also want to consider upgrading the utility packages, but I think that scout's about to get wiped out here, short of divine intervention or Trainz moving the bike at the wrong time. But Herr Oberleutnant, wie almost scouts at Amerikaner, 9, you move now! Ah, scheiße. He's always like this, you know. He used to be in command at Dunkirk. Wasn't that the Führer's fault, Phil? Into. Smoke train here to protect against flak feeling fire, but also in a sense bait his opponent more easily into the MD-34 there, so there's a bit of a dual intent here when the machine gun is nearby with such a smoke screen there. Perhaps not intended, but, you know, it's one of those ways you can use smoke not just to block out fire, but again, try and draw your opponents into your lines of fires better. That's pretty savvy there. Up north, grabbing a few munitions point here. And what do we get? Yup, it is the tank depot. We also got the mechanized support center, so we could theoretically go for the 7.6mm version of this Sherman as well there. Though versus an opponent like just to push up Panther 3s, that's a bit redundant. You don't really need extra penetration against Panther 3s with Shermans. Back to Trainz though, we do have the first Panther 3 away here, the Panzerkampfwagen 3 Ausführung L. But Kayaking and Koala definitely make a bit of progress now versus the Germans. Steady advance into the south. And there you go, we can also see Trainz going to sneak up here on the northeastern or eastern fuel point here, grabbing it right outside here of Kayaking and Koala's base. Onto there. Ooh, wrong door picked. We got flamethrowers, we got mortar fire, we got rifle there. And we still got that flak feeling. Veterans one opening up here, of course, for the armor-piercing ammunition ability. And he's got veteran gunners, which helps a bunch versus light vehicles for the flak feeling. And, of course, versus heavier stuff with the Panther 3. Typically, you'll see a lot of players, by the way, because armored support is, you know, quite common. But if they intend to go for the flak feeling Panther 3 path, they will typically pick veteran gunners to maximize the penetrative power, both their flak feeling and their Panther 3. But, just pause to briefly explain this. But if they intend to go for Achrats, and you know that, they will typically go for superior fire drills to maximize the machine gun firepower on their Achrats. So there's some small distinction in terms of like how this battle group is used depending on the type of build order you're seeing. So I think they just like point out those nuances there. And so it only shows like just, you know, depending on build order, the way you may actually go through a battle group can actually change significantly. So fun fact. Great shot there from the anti-tank gun, right through the Panther 3's frontal armor. I do feel like this is also probably just one of the best, like, say, choices we currently have. Like, I feel like just out of the battle groups, just this choice between veteran gunners or superior fire drills. I mean, they're both, you know, reasonably good, but like neither's like obviously much better than the other. But again, depending on build order, overall force composition, again, they do have like, you know, very, like, you know, different, you know, advantages and disadvantages. Although it looks like we're finally getting some paratroops out here, Kayaking Koala. Very good. Something a bit more elite here to take on Trainz infantry there. We'll have to, of course, go to the bazookas or the light machine guns. Trainz has made great comeback here across the sides of the map. Addition of the Panther Fleet, I imagine, being rather helpfully form, of course, and gaining that bit of control. Panzer's right in the southeast. Got the paratroops basically grabbing points here. And here Trainz goes for a bit of an interesting choice, one I was not quite anticipating. We do have the light infantry ships seen out. Not quite common, but honestly not bad either. It's quite handy as, of course, DAK and infantry, and typically, of course, is very easy to get in once you, of course, go for this type of build. So you will typically more see it again with players who are planning flak fillings and Panzer IIIs. Not super common, but it is a possibility. Straight to the M1 entertainer with the Panther Fleet. Great shot there, right for the frontal armor. Another shot there. The Model L Panther Fleet, but I typically had around 50mm of frontal armor. The Model M and the Model N, they would upgrade to, I think, roughly 20 extra millimeters there, so roughly 70mm across the front there. Typically with a bit of spaced armor on the front as well there. So, fun facts there. Mines up north here to defend the northern victory point, very good. We can see that all units are a bit more time. You can see that, I think, Kayaking Koala is catching more to like train strategy and tactics and adapting better to it. He definitely was a bit unsure as to how to deal with an early game, but now seems to have recovered a bit. We got the light infantry geschütz ready. Note the 18 is basically meant to deceive the Western powers into thinking it's a World War I weapon, but in reality it was developed a significant part after World War I. Clearly, they were not too invested into investigating. Oh, they say it's from 1918. Oh, well, alright. Alright. I imagine the Germans didn't think they'd get away with a tank. Well, you got this massive monstrosity with a big 88mm gun from the First World War. Yeah, it's, mein grandfather worked on set, yeah. I don't quite believe you. Ah, scheiße. Got bazooka paratroops already. But there are many cases where they, like, you know, hide weapons like that. Just not tanks. They actually instead, like, develop those in conjunction with the Russians, actually. The Soviet there specifically. Fun fact, by the way. Until I found the machine gun here up north, flak feeling there, being slightly held back by the paratrooper, but there's just too much infantry. And without, like, significant support here, he's going to be around. That said, the arrival of the Sherman does provide just exactly that here, I think, for Kayaking Koala in the north here. We got here also by the veteran squad leaders. Nice boost, particularly usually we got 3 Panther squads. Mines going off here, holding the Panzerjägers here. The paratroops of the Escalating and Airborne are still taking quite a pasting here. Panzer Pioneer pushing forwards, but they're getting obliterated by that Sherman. And here in the center, we've got a rifle squad push forwards here. Panther squad being caught a bad spot here. Nice push, clearly catching here. Trainz off guard, he was not expecting that. And there you go. We could see the lightning gun actually being wiped out, possibly. But no, it looks like fortune slightly smiles upon Trainz. His Panther feeder pushing to the center. He needs to be careful that he doesn't get pelted for the anti-tank grenades. There you go, great anti-tank rifle hit here. Anti-tank gun, not anti-tank rifle. There you go. Damaged engine. Fortunately for Trainz, though, the Sherman isn't anywhere nearby and could actually take out the Panther Fee there. Very lucky here. And similarly, the Sherman takes a bit long to get going. He can't even hunt down the flak feeling. I think this is one of those critical moments where Trainz possibly could have, like, lost the entire match there. But thankfully for him, the Sherman was not in a position to really exploit this. So really close call there. South, though, the fight continues to just be an absolutely ace investment here for Trainz. Just grabbing territory left and right. And just, again, keeping those scouts in check. Really showing what a well-handled bike can do in the right hands in the right engagement. So back to Kayaking Koala here. See what he's up to. We got the smoke bombs. We got the paradrop reinforcements. I think most players nowadays go for the supply drop for the extra bits there. That's not to say this is entirely bad, but it's just not quite as insanely good as it used to be. Black feeling here. Halfway to Victory 2. No additional Panzer III. Oh, actually, I spoke too soon. There is a second Panzer III here for Trainz. Another Ausführung L. paratroopers and units pushing up the south. And he's not far away from another Sherman already. Could also, of course, go for the M18 Hellcat tank destroyer. Again, in some ways, perhaps a bit overkill versus the Panzer III. It's just more consideration. Of course, for Trainz, I think longer term, he definitely wants to consider investing into tungsten rounds for his Panzer III. So alongside the mentioned gunners, he has a better chance of penetrating the Sherman frontally. But there you go. Good push here by Trainz, backed up the Panzerjäger. He dives in on that Sherman here. And this, of course, is where Kayaking kind of made a mistake of just leaving the Sherman, like, out to dry like that. It was just, like, you know, lots of blind angles. And, like, just easy ways for the Panzer to get up close and dangerous with the Sherman. Here, I would say Kayaking himself got very lucky in return compared to the previous one there versus Trainz, where he got lucky. Because that was a really, you know, not good Sherman positioning. They're better, like, a bit here or here. So, you know, a better line of sight, and crucially, Trainz can't just, like, you know, drive up at them from two angles and just start shooting at it. Like target practice at, like, some proving ground. North here, Panzer III being pushed back, flak feeling pushed up the center, right into the anti-tank, and is a bit ambitious here from Trainz, so perhaps a misclick. Almost got it there, but the line for gun is doing a lot of damage, I think, for Trainz on Kayaking's positions. He's also starting to make progress on the sides again. And there go another Sherman here on the way for the American, but for now he's in a bit of a tough spot. And I believe he actually lost his second, third. No, he does have it, it's just all the way up north. It might actually be worth for him to consider, like, investing into another machine gun maybe, or some more paratroopers equipped with those with light machine guns. Just something extra to help deal with all these, you know, 6-man panzer grenadiers with the MG-34. Picks up the Panzer III, line for gun here in a different position. Veterans you won. Good. Second Sherman ready. Of course, what he could consider here would be improvised armor to further improve the armor against the Panzer IIIs and any other sources of damage. That's an option. He could also go for the smoke shells, provide a bit of protection. Special missions, I don't think it's going to do much for him here. But the improvised armor could be an option here. As again, it would make the job harder for the Panzer IIIs against the Shermans. North, another push from Trainz and the 26th Panzer Division. But the 30 cal there backed up by scouts is proving a bit of a challenge here. But there you go, deeper flanking angle here. And more crucially, two Panzer IIIs quickly racing up the main road here. Going straight for the positions and just having no force nearby to assist. That's going to have to be a retreat here, I think, from Kayaking Koala. Until it becomes grave digging Koala. Machine guns there being routed, taking a lot of damage to the Panzer III, the machine guns, and of course the main gun. We do have both Germans in the rear backed up by the anti-tank gun. Good shot to the Panzer III side armor here. Scouts, well, scouting hat. Ooh, Sherman getting caught up here. Always mind how you move units there because they can't phase through each other, so occasionally you can get these situations where they get stuck up because of that. That's called, in part, logistics. And actually issues in the actual war as well. For example, in Normandy at times, you know, particularly one had to get off the beach in the case, like, you know, they just, like, you know, got stuck on choke points with all the tanks. For example, in fact, it's a rather common occurrence for Monty. Also happened, I think, right after El Alamein, he had to pursue the Germans, and, like, you know, everyone got just bogged down. Continue pursuit here, Panzer IV falling back. Grenades off, routed. Center the remains German, got 23 within 18. Still, Kayaking Koala is definitely starting to make a much better impact here on Trainz. BARs, not bad, though he only has 2 rifle squads. Certainly is, I think, better than nothing. So again, I probably would have recommended improvised armor first. Center 30 coming up here, backed up with the scouts. Bike still at it. Like, if Kayaking Koala got rid of that bike, I think they'd do a lot for him here versus Trainz. A lot. Panzer III's back to repaired. Flak feeling still at it. Germans good to go as well. And now we got the BARs. That'll certainly be a nice boost here for Kayaking Koala against Trainz men. Popping back to Trainz. Does have the Stuka anti-tank loader ready. Big push, the anti-tank gun in, oh, light infantry gun in trouble here. Panzer III's moving up, Sherman's attacking in, bazooka teams as well there. Almost got the Lactin Funzweger shots. And there we go, calling in the Luftwaffe here to halt the American advance. There we go, line gun cleared out. Stuka's raining down death from above here. Rifle being met with heavy gunfire. The anti-tank setting up as well here. Good shot on the Panzer III here. Sherman the heavily damaged. Almost got one in the Panzer III's here. Sherman did not go down and it survived with only 10 points of health. That's gotta be a frustrating moment here for Trainz. Great though for Kayaking Koala. That is a big tactical win there. Getting rid of a Panther Fleet without losing a Sherman. The situation definitely got a lot tougher here for Trainz versus Kayaking Koala. A lot tougher. Almost got the anti-tank crew here. Entirely grabbing the anti-tank gun. Very good here. Sherman's being held up. Panther Fleet pursuing. Again, though, Panzer Fleet will start against the front line of the Sherman a bit here. In particular, they do have improvised armor. Got a shot through here. Still no tanks in course, but we do have the emergency repair kits. Almost got the Sherman here. We even got, I think... Oh, it's Panzer Storm, actually. Increased mobility here. Got the Sherman. Got Vengeance. Good. So that one's for Reinhard. But I'm over here. Well, who done the other one? Ludwig. Oh, well, I didn't like Ludwig anyways. Panzer Fleet diving out of that one. Nice use of Panzer Storm there. And the south here. Scouts again as the bike. He really needs to like sending something a bit tougher as that bike. Now the Sherman there. We got Bassett Young in the background. Yeah. 30 cal pushed out here. Flak field and course advancing steadily. And looks like he's making off the anti-tank gun again. Though Trainz is obviously trying his best not to allow that to happen. Straight into the punches there, taking losses here from the BARs. Unloading a Torrent of Death into the front. We got Shield Hand Grenade off. More punch moving up. We got the Flak field moving in here. Veterans who want close to T2. South here back seizing points. Very good. And another Sherman ready here for Kayaking Koala. Freedom, democracy, liberty. A well-handled flag filling can be a real nuisance for an opponent to have to deal with. The good suppression, the good mobility, and of course the ability to mess with vehicles. It's like overall good combination. Panzer Pioneer though suffers almost a full, and they do go down. That will be painful here for Trainz. Going to make it much harder for him to repair his armor, even with, you know, self-repair here. He's also in dire need of more armor, though, of course, at this stage, I suppose he could try and go for the mechanized company and then push for armored reserves. It is an option here to consider for Trainz. It is an option.
The ability is on standby.
Steady push here for the south. Lots of Shermans. Reinforcing healing.
Proximity alarm near our capture point.
South here scouts. Gens versus that bike. The Scout Slayer. 2000. There go, 30 cal. Could this be the end of Train's bike? Would this be the end of the bike's train line? Anyways, Sherman racing up here, but quickly being pushed back, running into too much resistance here from Trainz and the German Panzerwaffe Panther pursuing here aggressively. Veteran 2 here. Almost got it here, in fact. Panzerjäger's wiped out. Trainz really starting to take some losses again here. Flam Panther Fleet an option. Goes for another Panther Fleet, which definitely I think is the better option. Panzer Storm here. He dives into Kayaking Koala's base. Gets the Sherman. Scores the kill. Nice work. Bike, though, finally went down. That's probably like one of the bigger wins at this stage, honestly. For Kayaking Koala is just getting rid of that bike because it means the scouts can now move out much more freely without just getting stopped by, like, you know, 200 man per unit. This means, again, like, you can actually influence the pressure on field here much better versus Trainz. So this is actually a significant win. Just happened, I think, too late for him to really, like, have the impact he'd like to. Like, had he gotten rid of that bike sooner, I think the issues for Trainz would have been much bigger. Really just excellent bike work there by Trainz, and I think a less great attempt to hold it by Kayaking Koala. We got a fresh Panther Fleet out here to support the German Panzerwaffe. Falling a bit back here.
Our munitions point is being neutralized by the enemy.
Further up north here, Raft Squads at the ready. Sherman heading towards the center. Veteran C2. Let's pop back to Koala.
We're down to 200 points.
Down to 200 points. Still no upgrades there, though he can go for another Sherman soon.
Red tails on the way.
And we got something being airdropped. Paratroopers? I mean, that's definitely not a bad addition.
I'd be in sight. Paratroops are inbound.
But the question is,
We're going down.
what exactly is intending with them here? Is it more bazookas? Is it like machine guns?
Airborne squad reporting.
But it does mean he's up to like 4 squads of infantry to match the 3 Panzergrenadiers. In fact, I would do them. I'll do them there. Quick bazooka hits on the side on the Panzer III. Scouts here being ripped apart by the flak feeling Sherman. Forge got Panzer rushing up the center. Could pop grenades here on the Sherman. There we go. Double grenades here. Could damage the engine here. There we go. And he flanks up for the south here. He could catch anything off guard alongside the Sherman and possibly deliver a rather crashing blow here to Kayaking Koala that could win Trainz the match here. He gets rid of the anti-tank and now the Panzer fleets I think can just deal with the Sherman. There we go. Steel Hand Grenade off. We do get paratrooping up here with bazookas perhaps. Anti-tank and crew down. Almost got the Sherman here. Tilly firing down death as well. Racing straight after the Sherman. There goes Sherman down. And this puts Kayaking Koala into a really bad position versus Trainz. Really bad position. Like, he's got no tanks with him. 2 tanks, his anti-tank, and they're still there. Oh, got one of the Panther fleas. That definitely helps. That definitely helps, except, of course, Trainz still has more Panzer fleas on the field. So unless he can start, like, just knocking out those Panzer fleas or losing no more Shermans, I do think there's a chance that Trainz basically starts, like, you know, building up a larger tank force that can overwhelm Kayaking Koala here, and that way win the match. Why isn't taking with these other paratroopers? There's some upgrades, and is that an anti-tank and he's airdropping, or? Yup, that is an anti-tank and he's airdropping. Honestly, reeks a bit of desperation of Kayaking Koala. But at the same time, can't really fault him. In the west here, we got some riflemen corner bad spot trying to take the light infantry gun here. Flak feeling races after them. I think he's trying for an anti-tank grenade, but yeah, that's not going to go well there, I think. Not point blank, there's a flak feeling with a Panzer fleet to support as well here. A lot of paratroopers pushing on the center here. 82nd Airborne makes a last mad dash here for the center. Even as the 41st Invasion is seeing increased issues and difficulties. Entering forged grenades right into the paratroopers here, going for the more veteran ones. Line for gun setting up for another series of barrages here against Kayaking Koala's positions. Could go for Sherman soon. He could also start going for Hellcats. Grenades right there. Punch with the mostly dodge out except for Ludwig. The other Ludwig, of course. A bit of a neat grind here with the center. Panzer routed, another push forwards. Panzer launching out a flank here near the east level here against Kayaking Koala's forces. Really messy spot. A lot of mortar fire. Got artillery hit there on the MD-34. MD-34 with 30 cal. Almost wiped the line for the gun there. Definitely getting some value out of that one. And Panzer fleets on the move again here alongside the flak feeling. And what is this? It's another Panzer III. Less than 100 points left here for Kayaking Koala anti-tank crew still being cleared out here. Honestly, at this point, a part of me thinks like Trainz could probably get away with a Flam Panzer III, maybe? Like help burn through some all of Kayaking Koala's stuff. But of course, just more Panzer IIIs obviously has a nice and beautiful simplicity to it. Can't fault him for that either.
The enemy has lowered our victory point to 250.
250 points left. Kayaking Koala is fighting fiercely like a koala caught in a kayak. There you go. Anti-tank position. This could be the time for Trainz to strike and perhaps deliver the coup de grace here to him. We got more bazookas for the paratroopers. A lot more bazookas. That's a total of 4 bazookas and 2 anti-tank guns here versus the 3 Panther 3 and the flak feeling here. And flak feeling they're almost knocked out, but does survive in part due to all these upgrades. That makes it a bit more tougher. Same for the Panther 3 here. Can take a few more hits. And so narrowly survives the encounter with the double anti-tank guns in both cases. Very close though. Got 240 versus 91 here. Both players here fighting tooth and nail for the control of the center of Pachino. But with the Panzer III's, Trainz does, I think, enjoy a bit of an advantage in these engagements at the moment. As Kayaking Koala is just not able to leverage the terrain here, I think, in the favor of infantry, in part because he insists on moving straight down the middle of the road here, so trying to flank around, for example. With the infantry at least using the narrow alleys to surprise Trainz panzers that way. Almost got a Panzer III here. Very close to the edge on that one, by the way. And there you go. Achieved. Very nice. And there you go. Actually pushed through the alleys. Almost got the Panzer III with that, in fact. But not fast enough here. 53 versus 243. 52. Koala here keeps hanging on here. Fighting desperately, fiercely. Got that Panther III pushing southwards. Catching the scout team in an awkward position and send them running off. Very nice shooting there. Pushing northwards with the 2 ace rifle squads there. Fixing up the ace Panzer III, very good.
Our capture point is being neutralized by the enemy.
The Panzer III's are pretty much fully upgraded in terms of anything that makes them tougher. Flak feeling, Panther III being pushed northwards here to defend the northern points there from American movements. Center there remains firmly entrenched with the Americans. Anti-tank grenades on the Panther III and the flak feeling. Are we seeing like any tanks or tanks at all here from Kayaking Koala at this point? I do wonder. What is his resource? I mean, he's got plenty of fuel, but manpower-wise, he is quite frankly bleeding heavily here, though, versus Trainz. So it does become a bit difficult to call him more armor, but at the same time, he needs armor to avoid bleeding out so badly. So it's a bit of a spiral he's caught in at this moment. Very vicious one. Time to get Panzer there. 30 cal held, just for long enough for that to retreat. North here, pursuit of the Panther III's here by the northern fields. Anti-tank guns paired to Ravenol moving about here, looking to hunt down those German panzers, knock them out. And there you go, finally bring in another German tank here. Bring in another. Fix up the tanks up there. Still no improvised armor. Another Panther lining up here for a southern flank assault alongside some Panzergrenadiere. Not a bad idea at all. There we got 48 was 223. Missing forwards. Advance on the center. Looks like Trainz northern prong there's about to push forwards. Whatever's up there, I think, has a good chance of just being utterly melted here, as he actually irks, I think, overreacts to southern Panther III, which means his northern forces are very vulnerable to the other Panther III's and the flak feeling. And the center artillery fire here makes short work of the engineers. Paratroopers have been caught by the Panther III's and the flak feeling, and the paratroopers just being decimated. Finally, though, not the Sherman has arrived to support freedom and democracy against the German scourge. Here, Panther III's pushing in, they're flanking the Sherman. Cuts in and tank grenade off. Another Panther III here. There we go, Haftalatnung against the Sherman. Damaging the engine of the Panther III tank from the north here, and there we go with that. Kayaking Koala surrenders, realizing he has very much lost the fight. A rather tough and fierce fight here on Pachino between Trainz and Kayaking Koala, certainly with a lot of twists, turns, and some rather neat armor pushes here. Definitely a bit of a rough start for Koala. I think part of it's just the way his scouts just kept get held in check by that bike. I think had Koala been able to like get rid of that bike much sooner, I think Trainz would have a much tougher match with this fight. So while the sound wasn't like the most, you know, graphic or visual part of the match here, I do think that, like, you know, bike versus scouts match was a really, like, you know, crucial B plot in this match. Like, you know, without that, like, you know, bit there going on in the background, I think Trainz would have had a much higher chance of losing it because the scouts have just been all over the map, just grabbing away there. But thanks to that bike, Trainz was able to, I think, maintain a much more solid, you know, bit of map control. Of course, on the other hand, Koala's inability to do with that bike sooner, I think, obviously, at the same time, might have, like, played a surprisingly crucial part in losing this match. But as you know, quite a lot of interesting back and forth here. I feel like any could have handled some tanks a bit better at times. I do feel like improvised armor could have been quite helpful here versus Trainz and like giving him a bit of an extra hit here versus all these Panzer fleets. But I hope you enjoyed this match. Hope you learned something from it. If you did, subscribe, like, share, comment. Consider telling your friends and family. And of course, if you like the Propagandacast, wish to support, you can do so via PayPal or Patreon. Links in the description. Every bit allows to keep making these videos. So thank you all for joining in and see you all tomorrow for another episode. Bye.